Welcome to SOS Media, your number one source of the latest news, opinions, and in-depth investigations that dig deeper into today's developing stories around the globe. It is now a number of years since the R&B king R. Kelly undeservingly transitioned from living a life of an all-time star full of luxury to that of spending more than 20 hours a day in a cramped prison cell, eating packs of ramen noodles just heated up on fire, as he optimistically awaits for his appeal proceedings that could see him return to normal life again. That's been the always high-flying king of R&B's reality since he was unclearly arrested in July 2019 in Chicago by the New York police detectives and Homeland Security officers, and indicted by a federal grand jury on federal charges that alleged aggravated criminal abuse. R. Kelly has strongly denied the several multiple allegations that he indulged with a number of young women, 3 of whom were allegedly minors at the time. And now that the cases and sentences are still on now, R. Kelly unfortunately remains detained at the Butler Federal Prison as one of the 771 inmates today, for his New York and Chicago sentences on federal charges of racketeering and trafficking of children that resulted in a 31-year prison sentence. R. Kelly has spent time at more than 2 federal lockups, including the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Chicago, the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, and the Butler Federal Prison in North Carolina. We should also remember that during the time of the COVID-19 pandemic, which took an especially hard toll on prisoners, R. Kelly fortunately survived the tides. It still remains a true fact, though, that his time under detention is still very challenging. Starting with the proposition that the Metropolitan Correction Center in Chicago is a very tough place to spend time, not only because it's a small facility to begin with, but also for the reason that it doesn't offer a lot in the nature of programming, and that R. Kelly was detained at one of the worst times in world history because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We have also learned a lot from Michael Leonard, R. Kelly's former attorney, who withdrew from representing the then 54-year-old Kelly in the New York case, though he was still slated to be on the R&B King's defense team for the then upcoming Chicago trial, where R. Kelly faced 13 federal charges. R. Kelly so far spent the majority of his time in the Chicago lockup, where he was only allowed out of his 8x10 two-person cell for a few hours a day to check on his email, talk to his lawyers, make phone calls, shower and eat, with then no access to the rooftop basketball court which was typically available during non-COVID times. Otherwise, R. Kelly was restricted to his cell and, like his fellow inmates, was subject to the fear of infection from COVID and the kind of conditions that health experts referred to as an epidemic engine. It's definitely a horrible emotional time to be detained, maybe one of the worst ever at that time, noting that R. Kelly couldn't hang out in the dormitory-style areas of the prison where in non-COVID times he might have had more contact with fellow inmates. And though Leonard said that R. Kelly was placed in a segregated unit for a brief period early on for his own protection, we know that those units are typically reserved for disciplinary reasons, but we should also remember this happened after another inmate attacked him in April 2020. Once in a blue moon, R. Kelly would sing a song for the inmates and the prison would go crazy. Everyone knew who R. Kelly was, got along with people, and was very approachable. The bottom line, though, remains that the R&B king is not getting any special treatment inside from prison authorities, apart from his additional access to his attorneys via video conferences because of his limitations with reading and writing. R. Kelly is unfortunately unable to read and write due to an undiagnosed learning disability. Otherwise, R. Kelly would be locked in his cell for 22 hours a day or more and had to eat the same brand food as everyone else, supplementing his diet with what the attorney says are shockingly overpriced additional items from the Commissary. For instance, you can get 7 packs of ramen noodles or 6 pouches of tuna per week, and 2 packs of cookies that most people in detention with him are living on for a fortune, R. Kelly's then lawyer Michael said, adding that there is an exorbitant markup on the Commissary items, such as $90 MP3 players that he suspected would go for $10 on the street and 3 song packs that run $5. Whereas the Chicago-based R. Kelly lawyer Leonard is well acquainted with his city's Metropolitan Correctional Center, New York-based attorney Stacey Richmond was equally familiar with R. Kelly's New York accommodations. R. Kelly will get the same food as everyone else. He, like everyone else, will have commissary money so he can access more foods and sundries, Richmond said. Her former client Lil Wayne had spent 8 months at New York's notoriously rough Rikers Island jail in 2010 after pleading guilty to attempted criminal possession of a weapon, so it's correct to say that Richmond had no first-hand knowledge of R. Kelly's conditions in lockup, but was speaking in general terms based on her professional experience with the penal system. Richmond told Billboard that despite R. Kelly's Grammy-winning status, she presumed that he didn't need any special accommodations. In fact, Richmond notes that as a celebrity, both inmates and staff will likely try to break his chops while others will try to get next to him, and still more inmates and staff might try to extort the R&B king. R. Kelly was definitely smart using his celebrity status to get special attention from other inmates, who might have somehow found out that even his autograph could be of some value to other inmates, and that he might be able to trade it for some sought-after items. For instance, they at one time even wanted to buy his underwear during Wheezy's incarceration. Another high-profile attorney with experience helping celebrity clients manage life behind bars, Mark Garagos, told Billboard that in general prison is much tougher on people with a high profile due to fame. The prolific lawyer, whose clients have included Chris Brown, Michael Jackson, Winona Ryder and Scott Peterson, says it's true that federal authorities are very keen to make sure that nothing happens to a well-known inmate who is the focus of a lot of attention, especially in the wake of the murky details surrounding the death of convicted inmate Jeffrey Epstein. The financier who was convicted in 2008 of procuring and indulging with a child was found unresponsive in his cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York in August 2019. His death has been described as a suicide. Garagos also has no first-hand knowledge of Kelly's case, but was speaking in general terms about celebrity treatment behind bars. I think it's fair to say that after Epstein's demise, despite the attention put on federal holding facilities, nobody wants such a thing to happen again, said Garagos. R. Kelly, who has unfortunately been repeatedly denied bail, is expected to stay in prison until the outcomes of his current and quite promising appeal processes decide otherwise. Robert Sylvester Kelly is currently an inmate at a lesser strict Granville County's federal correctional institution, the Butner Medium I on Old North Carolina Highway 75 in Butner. Though the Bureau of Prisons insists reasons for inmate transfers remain confidential, one cannot fail to think that R. Kelly's poor health resulting from the negligence by the Chicago Metropolitan Correctional Center could have prompted his transfer to Butner. R. Kelly continues to suffer from health issues caused by medical negligence at the MCC Chicago. We are hopeful that Butner will ensure that his medical needs are met. In the meantime, we have filed his brief in the Second Circuit which challenges his unjust conviction and 30-year sentence. Many fights ahead of us, his attorney Jennifer Bonjean said. In March, Bonjean alleged that the Bureau of Prisons had neglected Kelly's health inside Chicago's Metropolitan Correctional Center facility. She said the R. Kelly recently had surgery on his Achilles tendon after discovering that he had blood clots. Now that R. Kelly's New York appeal proceedings are getting closer, it remains our wish that he and his legal team led by the unrelenting attorney Jennifer Bonjean find this as a good opportunity to challenge all these injustices, misinterpretations of the law and lies from the alleged victims which have marred R. Kelly's legal battle to date. For us who believe in fairness and justice for everyone are watching the appeal process closely. All that we hope for is the total reversal of all R. Kelly's charges and the resulting sentences. We stay optimistic that R. Kelly will walk home a free man sooner than later. Thank you for watching today's video brought to you by SOS Media. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of our videos. Also remember to leave your comment about today's topic in the comment section below.